All right, on to lesson 2 in Math 21, outcome 8 on budgets. So some things that we need to know. Again, a budget is basically just balanced when our income is going to equal our expenses. If your income is greater than what you spend, your expenses, that would be called a surplus. To find that surplus, you just take all your income and you subtract all of your expenses. If you have a surplus, it's a good idea to put that money into a savings account so that you can earn more money on it. If you have more expenses than you have income, you're going to run what we call a deficit. Right? What that means is you would need to adjust your expenses, so cut back on all your spending so that you could balance your budget. So here's an example. It says Carlos is a high school student. He works part-time at a fast food restaurant and earns some additional money by delivering newspapers in his neighborhood. Below are his monthly income and expenses. Does he have a surplus or does he have a deficit? So the first thing that I would do is I would add up all of the income and I would add up all of the expenses. The first thing that you want to note is that this is a semi-monthly paycheck. So in a month, that means you would get 2 paychecks. So when I'm doing the total here, I'm going 300 plus 300 plus 75 gives me a grand total of $675 that he would be making every month. Now I'm going to look at his expenses. He pays for clothing, $100, entertainment, $150, cell phone bill, $45, gym membership, $90, restaurant meals, $50. All I'm going to do is add up all of those values together. So 100 plus 150 plus 45 plus 90 plus 50 gives me a grand total of, sorry, I messed up. I'm going to type it again. 100 plus 150 plus 45 plus 90 plus 50 gives me a grand total of 435. So what I learned is that he is definitely spending less than what he is earning. So he is going to have a surplus, right? He earns more than he spends. The next question says, Carlos would like to put his surplus money into a savings account. How much would he save over 1 year? So let's figure out how much his surplus actually is. So I'm going to take his income, 675. And subtract what he spends, which is 435. So 675 subtract 435 is $240 a month. We want to know how much is he going to save over the year. So I know that there are 12 months in a year. So what I would do is I would take the amount of money that he saves a month, which is 240, and multiply that by 12. So in 1 year, Carlos could save $2,880. The next question says, Carlos would want to buy a computer. That computer costs $1,500. How much money, or how many months would it take him to save that amount? So we know that he can save $240 every month. So I would take the total cost of that computer, which is $1,500, and I'm going to divide that by how much I can save every month. So 1,500 divided by 240, I get 6.25. So now I've got to figure out, am I rounding this up or down? If I round it down to 6 months, it's not going to be enough money because he needs 6.25 months. So this is going to take 7 months. All right, one more example. Mary has a budget. The first thing you want to know is if she is running a surplus or if she's running a deficit. So A said, if she's running a surplus, how much will she save? And then B, if she runs a deficit, which expense or expenses would you recommend her to reduce or remove to balance her budget? So here it says she has 2 paychecks, so I add those 2 numbers together, 175 plus 175. She earns $350 every month. Her expenses, her clothing, her entertainment, her cell phone bill, her gym membership, and eating at restaurants. Again, I add up all those values, so 75 plus 150 plus 65 plus 50 plus 100. She spends $440 a month. So she is spending more than she makes, which means that Mary is running a deficit. Right? How much is her deficit? So 350, subtract 440, it's negative 90. So she's down $90 a month. So I take a look at her expenses. What are things that she could reduce so that she could balance her budget? I need to knock off 90 bucks. So she spends 75 on clothing, 150 on entertainment, 65 on a cell phone bill, 50 on the gym membership, and $100 at a restaurant. So you would figure out what is important to you. So if it was me, I would like to keep my cell phone, so I'm not going to touch that. $75 on clothing. If you don't like spending on clothing, you could reduce that. You could reduce the gym membership, the restaurant meals, or the entertainment. So what I would do is actually, I would cut, if it was me, I would cut $50 from entertainment, because I think I could spend only $100 a month. I think that would be fair. The other thing that's an extra would be the restaurant meal. So I need to cut $90. I've already cut 50. I would probably also cut then the additional 40 from going to the restaurant. Oops. Again, it would be up to you to try to prioritize which expenses you would like to keep and which ones you could reduce. But if I cut $50 and $40, then I would now balance my budget. So that is lesson 2. Now you should be working through the questions on practice 2.